In today's video, I'm going to be going over how to create a navbar with Bootstrap. This is one of the 3 examples that we're going to create. And the reason it's so nice is because of its responsiveness. So now I'm using the dimensions of an iPhone 12 Pro. And we're only going to see one link here, which is going to be the name of your brand. And we're going to see this right here, which is going to be a button. When we click it, then we're going to see all of the other links from before. And so this is going to be the other version I was talking about, which is more customized and more like what a navbar would look like. And this is another version that we're going to create, which is just going to have a different background color and text color, and it's still as responsive as the other navbars. And before we get started, there's one more thing that we need to do, which is open your Chrome browser, search up Bootstrap. We're going to click on the first link, and then we scroll down until we find the include via CDN. We already have the first link, which is going to be the CSS one, but we don't have the second one, which is going to be the JavaScript. So let's copy it, go back to our VS Code, and paste it inside of our body. And now that we've added the link, we can go on top of it, and then we can start creating our navbar. So the first thing that we need to do is write navbar. Whoops, so nav to create a nav tag, and then we're going to add a few classes. So the first one is going to be navbar, and then the second one is going to be navbar expand and then large. And now inside of the nav, we're going to have to create a div, which is going to be a container. And this container should have a width of 100 all the time. So it doesn't matter what the dimensions are or the device you're using, it has to be 100. And so this container is going to be called container fluid. And if you want to learn about containers, and I have a separate video on them. So if you want to check it out, then click on the link at the top right. But if not, then let's keep going. What we're going to do now is create a link. And this link is going to be either a link to your homepage, or it's going to be a link to something else. And usually what you would use this one for is the name of your brand. But in this video, I'm just going to write home here. And the class is actually going to be nav-bar-brand. Now let's actually see what that looks like. So when we go here, we can see that it doesn't look that good because we can't even see the navbar that well. So to fix that, we can go to our nav here and then add a class of background, body, and then this, so tertiary, like this. Now when we go back, we can see it a bit. So if we zoom in, we can see that the background now is going to be basically white, but just a bit darker. And if you want to see it better, what we could do is go to our body, and then we could set the background to secondary. So now we can actually see the nav bar, and let's add some more content to it now. And before we actually do that, let's go back here and then delete all of this, and we could just write white here to make it a lot easier to understand. And what we could also do is change this to anything else that we would want. So we can do success maybe. We can change the color of our link if we wanted to. So we could do text white like this. You can customize it however you want, but I'll just keep it at white right now. And before we move on, I'm going to show you what we're going to do now. So this is going to be the navbar that we're trying to recreate. And when we change the dimensions into something like a phone and scroll down, then we're going to see that this is what it looks like now. And this right here is going to be the navbar brand, which is going to be this in our case. And we have this right here, which is going to be a button. And when we click it, then we can see that it's going to be a drop down with all of the other links and things that we've had before. And now that we know what we're going to do, let's go under our anchor tag here, create a div. And this div is going to have a class of collapse and then also navbar collapse like this. And inside of this div now, we're going to create an unordered list, which is going to have a class of navbar-nav. And then inside of our unordered list, we're going to create a list item with a class of nav-item. And then inside of this list item, we're going to create an anchor tag. And then this anchor tag is going to have a class of nav-link. And then here we could just put this. I'm going to write link here. And now when we go back, we're going to see that this is what the link is going to look like. And what we can also do is copy the list item, paste it a few times, and when we go back, now we have multiple links. And let's see what happens when we change the dimension. So if I click here, we can see that they're gone, but we don't have the button. So now what we have to do is create the button. To do that, we're going to go under our link, the first one, and then we're going to create a button with a class of navbar toggler. And then here, instead of having text, you can have some text here. So you could write something like open if you want to, but if you want to have the icon that it had in the Bootstrap website, then we're going to have to create a span, which is going to have a class of navbar toggler and then icon. And now when we go back here and click on this, we're going to see it, but it doesn't work. And that's because we have to go back here. And then we're going to go to the button, add some more attributes. And the first one is going to be data BS and then toggle. We're going to set this to collapse. The second one is going to be data BS and then target. And then here we're going to write the ID of our div that has the collapse and navbar collapse classes, and we don't have it yet, so let's create it. And I'm actually going to set this to the ID that the Bootstrap website uses. It doesn't matter. If you want to use this one, then you can use this one, but if not, then do whatever you want. So we're going to paste this here. And now let's make sure that it works. So we're going to click on the button here, and we're going to see all of the other links up here, meaning that our button works now. And so if you take a look here, we can see that I've changed this a bit. So the navbar brand is going to be navbar now. First link is going to be home. Second one is going to be just link for now. And the third one is going to be drop down. And if we click it, it doesn't work. So we actually have to change this or add some more stuff for it to work. So let's go back here. Use any link that you want. You can rename it to drop down or whatever you want. You can do more. That works too, but I'll just keep it at drop down for now. And what we have to do is add an unordered list, so UL, and it's going to have a class of drop down and then menu. Inside of it, we're going to create list items with anchor tags. You're going to have classes of drop down and then item. The href, I'll just keep it at this, and then we can write link here. We can copy it, so I'll just do 3 for now. And we have to add some more stuff to our link here, which is going to trigger the drop down menu. So we have to add a class of drop down toggle, and then we have to add an attribute which is going to be data BS, where is it? BS toggle, and then drop down. And now we can see that to the right of our drop down, we're going to have this arrow going down. And when we actually click it, we can see that this div appears, but it's going to be at the very left of our window. And to fix that, we're going to go to our list item and add a class of drop down. And now when we click it, we can see that it's going to be under our drop down link. And if we take a look at the website and click it, we can see that there's 2 links, a divider and another link. And to do that, all we have to do is go back here, and after a certain amount of links, we're going to create a list item with an HR, which is going to have a class of drop down divider. And let's actually change this a bit. So I'm going to write action. So action, like in the Bootstrap website. So action, another action, and then something else here. So now let's go back, and when we click it, we can see the 2 links, and then we have this divider and the last link. And so the next link that we can use is going to be the disabled one. So I'm going to copy this, paste it after the drop down, and all that we have to do for this one is add one more thing here, which is going to be disabled. And then for the link, I'm going to write the same thing. And now when we go back, we can see that this link is going to be disabled. And so now that we're done with all of our links, let's take a look at how to create the search bar. So let's scroll down, and so this is the link that we've just created. And then this is going to be the end of the unordered list. So then this is going to be the search bar. So they've created a form with a class of display flex, but that still doesn't show us how they've done this. So how this is going to be to the right of our navbar. So let's take a look at the unordered list here. So over here, there we go. We can see that it has a margin right of auto, which is how they've spaced this. So let's go back to our VS Code, go here, and then we're going to add a NME of auto. And so if we create a paragraph, I'm just going to write 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to see that this paragraph is going to be to the very right of our navbar because of that class ME auto. And to create the search bar itself, we have to create the form, and that form had a class of display flex. Let's go back and see what else it has. So the role is going to be search. That doesn't really matter right now. And so they have an input. So let's create the input inside of it. Input, and that input had a class. So let's go here, form control. And then it also had a margin right of 2. The next thing was the button, which had a class of button outline, and then success. And then we can write search here. Go back and see what that looks like. So this is going to be the input, this is going to be the search. And if we go back here, we can see that they actually have a placeholder here, which says search. So let's add that too. Where is it? So the input, placeholder, search. And there we go. So now that we're done with our navbar, let's take a look at how responsive it is. So let's go here and take a look at how it works. So now over here, so around the 900, I would say 92 or 91 or 90 is where it changes. And when we click it, we can see that this is what the drop down is going to look like. Now that we're done with our navbar, how do we actually style it? Let's go back here and let's learn how to change the color first. So I'm going to move the class background secondary from our body, and let's change it to, or set it to, a green navbar. So the first step is changing the background to primary. And what we could do is go to every single text element that we have here and write text white. So something like this, because if we add this here, it's not going to work. Or what we could do is add an attribute, which is basically just going to set the theme of the navbar to dark. And that means that all the text is going to be white. So to do that, we're going to write data vs theme, and we're going to set this to dark. And now when we go back, we can see that the text here is going to be white now. And all that we have to do is fix this a bit. So to do that, we're going to go back here and we can change this to white. And that didn't work because it shouldn't be white, but light. So there we go. Now it works. And this is one way in which we can do it, but you can take a look here. So if we scroll down to this point, these are going to be 3 styles or 3 themes in which we can set the navbar to. But now let's actually take a look at how we can customize the links and other things in our navbar. So let's actually keep it like this. And now I'm going to show you what I would do if I had a website and I would have to create a navbar. So for me, I would remove the disabled link. Maybe if I used it for something, I would keep it. I would keep the drop down and I would write something like more. And then here would probably be something like contact us. Here probably like more, or sorry, learn more. Or actually this would be here and then about us. So something like this. The first link could be home because right here we have the nav-bar-brand. And actually I would remove the form because I wouldn't use it. The second link could be something like normal link, but let's just set this to settings for now to see what that would look like. So I would create a navbar like this, and let's say that this was the home page and the user wasn't logged in. So what I would do is go back here, create the form. I shouldn't have deleted it, but it's fine. So this was display flex. I would create 2 buttons, so something like login and then sign up and log in, and then different classes, so btn and then btn outline. Let's set this one to danger, set this one to primary, Let's actually set this to success, and we can't see it, so let's actually just change this. So remove this, and then I'm gonna change this to secondary. There we go. So now we can see them, but let's set this to light. See if that would work. That works a bit better. There we go. And let's do this, and we're gonna add some margin. So ME, let's do 2. There we go. So this is a very simple example of what a navbar should look like. And so this is going to be for this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, then leave a like. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Leave a comment down below if you have any video requests, and hopefully see you next video.